Hello, everyone. It's Elena, real estate investor. Uh, you know, all my life I was trying to find a way to save my money. I know inflation eats our money. I was playing with cryptocurrency. Yes, I made some money, but it wasn't far. It was far from enough to feel myself confident. Then I was started to playing with different currencies, different countries' money. I bought some and I made some money, but it was far from enough. And then when I find it the way information about creative finance for real estate, I decided that this is mine. Okay, I joined it up too. And then I found another way to invest. Great investment. Invest in yourself. Find great mentor, join great community, and start working with your mindset to achieve your goals. Hello, everyone. Today, my guest is my mentor, my friend, just awesome guy, Jesse Stanton. Hi, Jesse.
Elena, it is such a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much. How are you doing? You look radiant as ever. Is it possible that you are more beautiful than the last time that I saw you?
Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. Thank you. No, this is great. I'm excited. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. I've been looking forward to this all day. I've had a couple curveballs thrown my way today, so I appreciate you for being flexible and allowing me to kind of pivot here. So thank you so much. It's really an honor and a privilege to be here.
Yeah, thank you, Jess. Actually, I love it about Facebook, about our community. Okay, we can be late, we can be early, couple minutes. Who cares, right? At least people loves you, and people would like to get something new from you, because people know you are full of valuable information. So, yeah, awesome. Thank you so much for being my guest today.
The way I like to look at it, as kind of like a like when things like this happen. For those of you guys that don't know, we started just a few minutes late, totally because of me. My wife got called into work, and so I ended up having to take playing Mr. Mom today, and that's okay. I love to do it, and my kids had some appointments and some things like that. So, but it's neat to be able to come in here and talk about those things. Like, hey guys, we started a little bit late. It's Jesse's fault. But this is cool because we can out it right here in front of everybody, and everybody who is afraid to start a podcast because they're like, well, I don't want to start a podcast because then I'm going to fail in front of everybody. And it's like, that's what more people need. More people need to see, hey guys, we've got absolute chaos going on. Jesse's got stuff going on. He's got to run kids all over town and all these things. We start a couple minutes late, but you know what? We're here. Like, let's fail forward. So I always love to make a point of that anytime I ever get the opportunity, so everybody else gets to see, like, hey, it's not a big deal. We showed up, we're consistent, we did it. So thank you, Elena, for waiting on me. Thank you everybody else for being here, for waiting on me as well. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Jesse. Thank you. Actually, it was awesome introduction because it will be our topic today, our mindset. Right?
Ooh, I love it.
How we treat situation, how we treat unexpected something. Shit happens all the time, right? So yeah, we need to be prepared and how to work with our mindset. Yeah. Jesse, could you please tell us a little bit about yourself? I don't think so. Is there here anyone does not know about you? But anyway.
For sure. So my name is Jesse Stanton. I live in Wasilla, Alaska. Live in a small igloo up here in Alaska with my wife and 4 kids and 2 Yorkies and 3 moose. And I did 15 years in the Air Force. I was an instructor when I was in the Air Force, and so they sent me down to a school down in Texas to go learn how to be a professional instructor and coach and public speaker and all the things. As a matter of fact, I wrote curriculum for the Air Force professionally. So a lot of stuff they actually still use today. A lot of leadership development, personal development, mindset, things like that. I was actually certified while I was in the Air Force, Elena. I don't know if you know this or not. I was certified. They had a small group of individuals that they picked to get this certification. I was blessed to be one of them. And it was a certification as what they called a Master Resiliency Trainer, an MRT. And it was something that went on your official records. It was a pretty big deal. because in the Air Force at the time, I think this was in 2019, suicide was at an
Wow.
all-time high since the conception of the Air Force in 1947. So it was at an all-time high, and resiliency was kind of one of those keywords. It was kind of a buzzword that was like, man, we really need to start investing more into getting our people the skills that they need to help, understanding how to overcome a lot of the stuff themselves and not just solely relying on, other people or medication or anything like that. And so I was fortunate enough to be able to be certified as an MRT, a Master Resiliency Trainer, and I would hold regular meetings or events, just giving people the information and skills all about mindset and reframing and seeing things from a different perspective and understanding our thoughts and our emotions and how all that kind of ties into our actions, and really interesting stuff. And so jumping into real estate and entrepreneurship, like, it was neat to be able to take all of that experience as an Air Force trained leader. Because most people, when you grow up, when you do 15 years in the Air Force, most of the time you think that when you retire, that you're just going to end up continuing doing what you're doing in the military, just as a civilian. You work for Lockheed Martin or Boeing or something like that as a DoD contractor. But so I never expected to be able to take a lot of the experience and things that I had gone through and skills and habits that I built in the Air Force and be able to bring them into what I'm doing today. So it's super neat. But that's me in a nutshell.
I just wanted to say, you just mentioned everyone believes when you're in Air Force for 15 years, after you get retired, you will keep doing what you do. I wanted to ask, where you hope they will give you a plane and you will keep flying? Or something?
Yeah, I mean, maybe. I never actually retired. I got out before I could retire. So in order to collect a retirement, in order to collect a paycheck, you have to do 20 years. And I jumped out at 15. So had I stayed in at my 20-year mark, which would have been in 2028 or 2029. So in just a few years, I would have hit that 20-year mark. Now I'd have a guaranteed retirement for the rest of my life. I'd have guaranteed medical for me and my family for the rest of my life.
Cool.
So it was a pretty big deal to jump out at 15 years. But I hope that for anybody that's listening, if you're in your W-2 for the exact same reason, if you're sitting here thinking like, man, I've got to hit my retirement, or I've got to stay in here until I get to a certain point, and then I can think about taking care of myself. Like, as somebody who's already been there, done that, made that jump and is doing it. And all I can say is the best thing I ever did was bet on myself, because staying in everything else I would have had to put up with, the deployments, the TDYs, consistently moving all over the place, and me being like just not fulfilled, not paid what I'm worth. It would have delayed a lot of things, and so I'm really glad that I took that leap.
Yeah, it's very cool. And plus, you right now, you do not just you're not only fixing someone's brain. If you're fixing real estate investor's brain, this is great value.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Because we all realize everything starts with our mindset. And actually, this morning I was listening Joe Dispenza. This is one of my favorite speaker, Dr. Joe Dispenza. His theory is we build our whole life with our thoughts, with our mindset. So plus, I was reading your post this morning about how you start your day with positive programming yourself, right? Reading appropriate information and make program for whole your day. It's critically important, because I believe everyone has some limitation. Everyone has some obstacles we have to step over. What do you think? How someone can identify our mindset is limiting our potential in real estate investment?
Man, what a great question. How does somebody identify that they have a limiting mindset in their progression? I think
In real
it's
estate, in real estate, yeah,
in real estate.
yeah.
Oh, I super perfect example here. When you started, when we were going through the cohort, and I told everybody that how many people here are just trying to get their first deal? How many people are trying to build a business where they're trying to make $5,000 a month or 10 grand a month? How many people were like, yeah, that's me. That's me 100%.
Yeah.
And then how many people had resistance at first when I said, hey guys, we need to be setting 10x goals for this purpose? How many people's initial response was like, well, that doesn't make sense. I don't know why I would ever do that. I'm just trying to figure out how to make $5,000 a month. Like, screw trying to figure out how to make $6,000 a month, or 6 figures a month. Like, that doesn't make any sense.
Mhm.
So there are little things like that. It's like, okay, what are the caliber of your goals? What are you actually trying to shoot for? And Elena, in my experience, the reason that most people are where they are has a lot to do with their goals. And I think a lot of people are afraid that if they set too big of goals, then they're going to fail. And so they set goals that are small. They set goals that are able to be accomplished within the confines of who they are as a person right now.
Mhm.
And in my experience, most people, they're not where they are because they set this just really big goal and then just shot up there and totally missed the target. And has nothing to do with that. It's the fact that most people are setting goals that are so stinking low and in line with who they are as a person in that moment. And then they hit the freaking bullseye. And then they're like, well, good gravy. Good golly, Miss Molly. How come I'm not doing the things that I want to be doing? How come I'm not making more money? How come I'm not buying more properties? How come I'm not, you know what I mean? And so those are like great indications right there to figure out, or to get an idea of, where you are in your mindset. And then overcoming those limiting beliefs or seeing things from a different perspective, like that's kind of where a lot of the mindset work kind of comes in now, to work your way through some of those obstacles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you just mentioned the level of our goals. So I would like to understand how we can identify, are these goals too high or not too high? Because really, when you start setting your goals,
Mm-hmm.
and you make for yourself, okay, I want to buy 100 properties by end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
I want to buy another 200 by end of next year. So
Mm-hmm.
what seems realistic and what seems not realistic, especially for newbies?
Oh, I love that question, Elena. When it comes to, and I'm going to tie this into, you're familiar with what SMART goals are, right?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So when it comes to SMART goals, the R in identifying SMART goals stands for realistic. Are your goals realistic? Now, I don't know if this is in line with how most people see SMART goals, but I'll tell you how I see SMART goals. In my humble opinion, I don't know that whether you want to set a goal of 100 doors by the end of the year or 200 doors or whatever it is, I don't know that that's the measure of what's realistic or not. Like, to me, if you set a goal right now and you're like, I'm going to go make 7 figures a month, great. I don't think that's unrealistic. Now, in my humble opinion, what's going to determine whether or not that goal is actually realistic is not necessarily whether or not you're shooting for too high of a thing. It's, are the action steps that you're taking every day realistic with that goal? Are the standards that you're setting every single day realistic with that goal? If you want to go take down 100 properties and you're making 10 phone calls a day, then yeah, in essence, that's an unrealistic goal, but not because you want to take down 100 doors. It's unrealistic because you're only making 10 phone calls a day, or you're only making 10 phone calls a week, or you're not talking to anybody who has any money, or you know what I mean? Like, those are the things that determine whether or not that goal is actually unrealistic. It's not the actual goal itself. It's not the thing that you're actually shooting for. It's the things that you choose to do every single day that's going to cause that goal to now manifest as a byproduct. That's the thing that determines whether or not it's realistic or not, in my humble opinion.
Yeah, cool.
Does that make
but
sense?
We still need to, yeah, it makes sense. But we still need to start with something. We need to track our KPIs, right? To do our job, to understand how many phone calls we should make per day, or how many people we should contact, how many deals we should receive, how many offers we should send, right? Oh my gosh. If someone wants to achieve high-level goals, it means we should grow with our team really fast.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah, I think when it comes to setting your goals, like let's say you set a goal of 100 doors by the end of the year. What's really neat about setting a goal, like a 10x goal like that, is your learning and expertise now start at a 10x level, as opposed to where most people are like, oh, I need to get my first deal. And you ask them, okay, cool, what do you need to get for your first deal? Oh, well, I don't have a CRM. Oh, okay, so you don't have a CRM. Got it. Okay, so why don't you just go get a CRM? Oh, well, I don't know what list I need to skip trace. I don't know. You know what I mean? So because they're focused on their first deal, that now becomes the caliber of questions that they start trying to figure out how to solve. And in my experience as a coach, like that's where I see 90% of people, 95% of people staying, is they're setting goals that are so far down here because of the limiting beliefs they have of what they think they can accomplish. Whereas automatically, if you start setting a 10x goal, you're asking different questions. Like what CRM you use is no longer your biggest problem if you're wanting to take down 100 doors. So it puts you into a whole different mindset where you start asking different questions, which is going to allow you to build different skills and expertise that are going to get you the result that you're actually looking for. And so as you know, I always tell everybody, focus on the result you're after and not the process. Because too many people are getting stuck on the process. They're getting stuck on the how. It doesn't matter. The how doesn't matter. The how will come as a byproduct of you taking action, but you'll take action that is a direct correlation with the caliber of questions that you choose to ask. And unless you are shooting for 10x goals, then the caliber of questions you ask are not going to bring you the opportunities or the people or the information you need to be able to accomplish that. So let's say you set 10x goals and you start taking 10x action, start asking 10x questions. Now let's say by the end of the year, you've got 50 doors. Now here's what's really interesting. Let's say that you only had 4 hours a day to accomplish this. Let's say there's two versions of you, okay? Let's say there's a 10x version of Elena and a not 10x version of Elena, a linear version of Elena. And let's say both versions of Elena only have 4 hours a day to achieve this goal. What's really interesting is that by the end of the year, because you shot for 10x goals, you're shooting to get 100 doors. If you got 50, are you going to be totally pissed? No, you're not. Probably not.
I would not say.
Right. Right. Versus the linear version of Elena, with those 4 hours, you're spending them completely different. You're not solving bigger problems. You'll spend an entire month just trying to figure out what damn CRM you should use. And then you may not even get a door. And it's funny, it takes the exact same amount of time, energy, and effort to go big as it does to go small. It takes the same amount of time, energy, and effort to have a great marriage versus an average marriage. Like it's all about your perspective on how you choose to spend the whatever amount of time that you have for accomplishing whatever result you're after. But the cool thing is, Elena, it's all just right here. As you know, it's the only thing that separates everybody else is just right here. Funny how that works.
Yeah. It's very cool, and actually resonates a lot with Ukrainian or Russian proverb: "Who wants, looking for possibilities; who doesn't want, looking for reason." Maybe not such straight, but in general, it makes sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If you want to do action, you just need maybe to find help, to find right source of information, how to work with your mindset. So, Jesse, what do you think? What specific steps can investor take to shift from a scarcity mindset to the better mindset?
Oh my gosh, Elena, I think Andrew's here in the comments. I wish Andrew could just come on and answer this question. I'm so just to see the growth from that man, incredible. I look up to him in so many ways. Really, it just comes down to one thing, and I see we got Gene in here, Alan's in here, Debbie's in here, Andrew's in here. I see all you guys in the comments. This is awesome. As you guys all know, the fastest way to shift anything is to literally just change your environment. Look at the entire cohort. Yep. Look at your entire cohort, Elena.
Yep.
Look at how everybody's acting. Look at how everybody's executing. Look how everybody's thinking. Look about how everybody is creating opportunity. Look at how everybody is becoming resourceful. The only thing that we all live all over the place. I'm the only one that lives in Alaska, and we've got everybody all over the entire country. And everybody made this shift. There was nothing else that changed in everybody else's day-to-day other than their environment when we all had the opportunity to meet together.
Yeah. Great
You've got
comment.
to start getting very, very intentional with your circle of influence. The people that you choose to get information from, the people that you choose to listen to, you have to protect that. You have to protect it at all costs. And it has to become a non-negotiable. I like to think of myself as Michael Jordan in a lot of different ways, but he was one of those individuals. He had a win at all costs attitude, and that's kind of where I'm at as well. And I don't the things that I have tolerated over the years has vastly diminished, and so I don't allow people to just call me. I don't allow people to just text me. I don't allow people to just, jump on a Zoom or I'm very, very, very protective of my time and the people in my circle. And so the tighter that I have become with that, the more that I've seen myself grow just leaps and bounds. Even on social media, like you get somebody that's like hater. You got somebody that says just goes out of the way to say just nasty things and stuff. And I get it. And it's social media, not a big deal. You expect that stuff to happen, but I'll go out of my way to block them and delete them. Not because I'm offended that they said that or because it bothered me, but because I want to protect everything that I can within my control. Obviously, at some point, the more the higher you get into this game, the more kind of things that you don't have a whole lot of control on. But for where I'm at right now, I can definitely control who's in my sphere of influence, to include the people that I want to associate with on social media. So I'm extremely protective of that. And I'll end this. I'll just say this one last thing real quick. Even if it's close friends or family, if they're not in alignment with what I'm trying to do, I will remove them.
Yeah. And it doesn't because we don't have empathy. We have empathy. But right, everyone takes own personal responsibility on our lives.
Absolutely.
And yeah, it's maybe painful even to realize it. But sometimes even our relatives, they can be vampires. They
Yeah.
can suck our time. They can waste our energy, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't help us at all. Yeah, it's crazy.
And
Uh,
it's a very difficult line to walk because we're talking about mindset here. Um, the people that are closest, there's a Napoleon Hill quote that says something along the lines of, I'm going to butcher it, so I'm not going to be able to remember it verbatim, but it's basically the reason you're not where you want to be, or the reason that you are being held back, or something to that effect, is because of your friends, family, and neighbors. And it's really, really interesting because think about it, like if how most people win the lottery. Imagine yourself getting $100 million, and think about how many just ordinary people, average people, wish that they could win the lottery. And then what happens
mhm.
when they win it? Like, they, in their head, they think that they're capable of handling that kind of money. And Elena, let me be super clear here. I'm not even talking about, forget investing it. Forget pretending like we're financially literate here. I'm talking about $100 million lands on an average Joe's lap, and they think they can deal with the pressure that comes with that kind of money. They think they can deal with the anxiety. They think they can deal with the scarcity that comes behind it. My goodness. I mean, how many people do you know that even if they forget $100 million, let's say they get $1 million landed on their lap, how many people would just hold it because they would be so scared that somebody would take it, or the government's coming for it, or the IRS, or whoever. So they're just going to sit on it. They're not going to do anything with it. They operate out of fear and scarcity. Now, not only
Yeah,
that, but what about all the family? We're talking about family. We're talking about friends. We're talking about people that are closest to us. What about all the people now that think they're entitled to that $100 million? You just won the lottery. You should be paying my car off, and you should be paying my house off, and you should be retiring your parents, and you should be like, nobody's entitled to that, but everybody's going to think that they're entitled to that now. Everybody's going to be your best friend. Can you handle that kind of pressure? One of my favorite quotes is from Jim Rohn. Do you know who Jim Rohn is?
yeah.
He said, if somebody hands you $1 million, then it's best that you learn how to become a millionaire so that you get to keep the money. And that's what he's talking about. He's talking about the self-development. He's talking about the mindset.
Yeah, mindset is everything. Everything starts from mindset. Jesse, when I found you, I was in sub 2 for some time, for a couple of months, and I felt myself, I got stuck. So I met Shannon, my friend, my dear friend Shannon. Right now she's in the hospital. Let's keep praying for her. She wants to get better soon. And she told me about you. So really, mindset is our everything. And why I decided to join your mentorship, because I realized it's not only business model we need to know about. First, we should fix our brain to be ready to accept something better in our life. We should stretch out our mental field, our mental something, our mental egg, to be able to absorb more in our life. And you just mentioned very sensitive topic about our relatives, about our surrounding, right? And personally, me, to be honest, I had this story in my life. I have one relative who I wasn't realize why I feel so much bad and next to this person, and I was, until I realized this person just sucks my energy, just puts me down. And unfortunately, I had to get rid of this person, even if I love her and she's my relative. I don't communicate. I just put on hold our relationship. I help if I can, but I don't communicate. And it's very, very sad. Guys, please shoot one in the chat if you had some issues when you had to really to break relationship with someone who is important to you. I guess it's everyone should come through this to this situation earlier or later. Okay, so Jesse, what, how we should act to build our confidence? Because this is one of most important sides of our character, right? To start to be successful.
Mm-hmm. How can someone build their confidence?
Yeah.
Can I share something with you?
Sure.
This is an excerpt from. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Give me 2 seconds. This is an excerpt from one of my all-time favorite books, and it's called "Failing Forward" by John Maxwell.
Mm-hmm.
Let me read this. Let me read this to you guys. I've shared this before, but it's, oh my gosh, it's so good. The ceramics teacher announced, ceramics obviously being pottery. The ceramics teacher announced on opening day that he was dividing the class into 2 groups. All those on the left side of the studio, he said, would be graded solely on the quantity of work they produced. All of those on the right side solely on the quality. Now, his procedure was simple. On the final day of class, he would bring in his bathroom scales and he would weigh the work of the quantity group. 50 pounds of pots rated an A, 40 pounds of B, and so on. Those being graded for quality, however, only had to produce 1 pot, albeit, though, a perfect one, in order to get an A. Well, came grading time and a curious fact emerged. The works of the highest quality were all produced by the group that was being graded for quantity. It seems that while the quantity group was busily churning out piles of work and learning from their mistakes, the quality group had sat around theorizing about perfection and in the end had little to show for their efforts than grandiose theories and a pile of dead clay. It doesn't matter whether your objectives are in the area of art, business, ministry, sports, or relationships. The only way you get ahead is to fail early, fail often, and fail forward. Now, Elena, I share that because the question you asked is, how does somebody gain confidence and build confidence? Yep. It's by taking action. It's by failing forward. And I'll tell you, Elena, one of my greatest attributes that I have, it isn't my ability to communicate. It isn't my ability to negotiate. It's not that I know how to underwrite, or it's not that I can put people into a room. It's none of those things and more. Like, one of the single greatest skills that I have is my ability to just simply take action on something. And in the amount of time that it would take most people to sit around and think about the different variables that could happen, and then get this person's opinion on it, and then get that person's opinion on it, and then they go back to the drawing board and they're comparing notes now. Like, in the amount of time that somebody's taken to effing do that, like, I've already made a decision and failed 3 times at it and found a solution. And when you can change your habits, your mindset to operate similarly, my gosh, you can imagine the confidence. Can you feel my confidence coming through this microphone here? It's because that's how I freaking operate. It's because I can do so much with so little information, because I'm not afraid to just go out and fail. Like, I don't care if I look like an idiot. I don't care. Like, I don't care. Now, obviously, depending on what it is, you know, if you're obviously you wouldn't jump into like a multi-million-dollar acquisition and just be like, screw it, let's just make a decision and go. I'm talking about the little things. The little things are what matter. Like my ability to just go in and make a decision, execute on it, and be fine with looking like an idiot or not. I'm okay with going in and just failing forward because I know that in the same amount of time that somebody's going to sit around and think about what decision they should make and weigh the options and look at I would have already failed 3 times and figured it out. And so that builds confidence. So that's something that is something that I would definitely encourage everybody in here to get good at, especially if you aspire to be a successful entrepreneur. That's something that I think everybody should be comfortable with to an extent. Continue to push those boundaries, continue to just make decisions and say, screw it, let's just go with it. Let's see what we learn. I think growing up, a lot of people think about how we went to school, Elena. When you got tests and when you were given quizzes,
Yep.
you were given multiple choice or you were given a fill in the blank and there was only one right answer. When you get hired in a W-2 and you have annual tests that you have to take or you have, quizzes that you had to do to get hired or, whatever it is, there's one right answer. When people take the exact same mindset, this W-2 mindset, let's call it, that they grew up with understanding that if I don't get this one right answer, then that means what the system has basically told me is that I'm a freaking failure. If I answered C and the answer was D, then I'm a failure. I failed. That's how we all grew up. But the craziest thing about this whole thing, Elena, is that not only business, but just life in general is not like that. And that's a hard concept that most people have. So when they go from this W-2 into being an entrepreneur, and then, they're like, why is my business not growing? Why are all these things not happening? And it's like, man, you can trace a lot of the stuff back to, okay, well, how do you make decisions? Oh, I don't want to make that decision because I don't have enough information and I don't want to make the wrong choice. And what they just don't understand is there's about 1 million different ways. There isn't one right and one wrong answer here. There isn't one right answer. You don't have to make the right decision. You just have to make a freaking decision. And then you have to make that decision right. That's the best way I can sum up.
Good point. Could you please explain this point a little bit more? Because I know not everyone realizes what does it mean. Just extend it a little bit.
Which point? That last little part?
Yeah.
About the choice?
Correct decision. Yes.
Cool. Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of people think that when you're making decisions, they're like, let's say we're going down this road and this road comes to a T. And then if you go left, you fail. And if you go right, you succeed. Like that's how people think about business. They think it's literally, it's just that simple. It's like, oh, why? I don't want to ever turn left. And so when people like me come onto a podcast and they're talking about failing, they can't conceptualize like, why would anybody take a left turn? I don't want to go down that road. Like, let me just take a right. And this is the pathway to success. Like what idiots are sitting here talking about failing? Why would we take a left turn at the T when clearly we go right and we succeed? That's how I think a lot of people visualize it. And that's what keeps them stagnant, is because they think that it's like, okay, if I go this way, then it fails. If I go this way, then it fails. If I go this way, then it fails. I think this is the right one, but I can't see beyond, the first 100 yards or so. But I think it's the right one, but then I don't know. But then it could be this one over here as well. And I don't like, there isn't a right decision. They're all right. They're all freaking right. And you're going to learn something from each one of those paths. There's more than one right answer.
Just decide something and do something,
you just have
right?
to decide. That's it. You just have to make. You're waiting for a right answer. There's no right answer. You don't have to make a right answer. You just have to make a decision, and then you have to make the decision right, which means that you pick a direction, you pick a decision, and then you focus all of your time, energy, and effort, your resources, the caliber of questions that you're asking. The goals, the milestones that you're setting in place are now you're going all in on this decision. And by you putting places or people and processes into place, and you attach milestones and goals to this road that you chose to go down, by you going down that road with that level of intention, that's you now making the decision right. And if you continue going down it, that becomes the right decision. You could have done the same thing with any one of those roads. You just have to pick a decision. You have to pick a direction. You have to make a decision, and then you make the decision right by committing to it.
Yeah. It's so painful, and it's so crazy painful when you think so many people they are losing years and years, maybe even their lives, not doing nothing. I mean, not to follow their dreams, not to follow their blue dreams, but all rich people, they started with something. They've been probably one day in my skin, in my shoes, right? On someone else's shoes. But they got the result. Yeah, we all have our path, we all have our destiny, we all have our relationship with universe, with God, with anyway we have something own. We cannot replicate someone's life, but we should do something. Gosh, it's so sad, really, when you realize people just sit, procrastinate, and they expect for the best time, for the best amount of knowledge, for the best situation, right? To feel more confident, to be more prepared, to get more whatever. And just they're losing years. It's crazy. And like you said, we should scratch ourselves. You know, when I remember when you taught us how to start social media. So, okay, I'm perfect student. I should follow homework. I recorded first video. My gosh, for 30 minutes before I posted my freaking first video, I was crying, sitting on my chair and crying because it was so painful. But you know what? Right after I posted my first video, I said, it's not as bad. Really. And I really, right now, I just, the post, it's not painful. It's not pain anymore. Jesse, but you know, I would like to ask you, okay, you sound very confident. You sound, you know what you do. But anyway, can you share please with us your personal experience where you had to overcome a limiting mindset to achieve something, to achieve your success?
Gosh, dang, where do I start? Yeah, I mean, my very first introduction to real estate, I had a friend reach out to me. It's actually what started this entire rabbit hole for me. I had a childhood friend reach out to me, and he asked me, he's like, hey, have you ever thought about getting into real estate? And I was like, yeah, I thought about getting my realtor's license a few years ago. And he's like, no, I'm not talking about being a realtor. He's like, I'm talking about being an investor. And I was like, I gave him this big, long, sarcastic remark. And I was like, dude, that's not like, I'm in the military, dude. You can go freaking see what the military's getting paid. I don't got 100 G's just burning a hole in my pocket so that I can go buy a 4-plex igloo in Anchorage, Alaska. And, he was real patient with me. And he's like, you know what? He's like, actually, I've got some friends that I've got a meeting with on Thursday. He's like, how about you just come into the Zoom and just be a fly on the wall? I was like, okay. And so I jumped into this Zoom, Elena, and they started telling me, well, they weren't telling me I was just a fly on the wall. They started talking about just all these things that they were doing. They started talking about buying properties and making money. I mean, making money is an understatement. These guys are doing some truly freaking amazing things. And they were leveraging other people's money and other people's debt and other people's credit. And that was the first time where my whole financial worldview had been challenged. And I had such a hard time wrapping my head around, well, that doesn't make any sense. This sounds like a scam. Ooh. And then you start to learn about, things like other creative financing strategies, like Subject to. And it's like, who in their right mind? I could never freaking imagine. Even, what's funny? even to this day, like me knowing about it, like I would never sell my house subject to. I would never deed my personal property over to somebody else and then carry the debt. I would never in a million years do that, even to this day. And I
Mindset.
wouldn't do it back then. But you know what I did not understand was why somebody else would.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Jesse, no shit you wouldn't. But you know what? You're not facing foreclosure. You're not in the military
Thanks
going
God.
to a new, fingers crossed, right? You're not in the military going to a new duty station with no equity in your property, and so you can't sell it. Like, oh, you're right. So understanding things like that you can legally purchase a property and get it deeded over to you and keep the debt in place. These were all limiting beliefs and mindsets that I had around money. You know, when somebody told me that I needed to shoot for 10x goals, I mean, forget $100,000 a month. Elena, I was still trying to make $100,000 a year from a very young age. That's what my dad always told me. Jesse, go join the military, let them pay for your college, go get a job, and if you can figure out how to make $100,000 a year, you might as well be Donald freaking Trump, man. Like, there isn't anything you can't do. And so I carried that for 29 years. I carried that thought process and that mentality for 29 years. And I'm so lucky I was able to start getting over that. But those were huge barriers to my mindset. Mm-hmm. I'm like, $100,000 a month. What? Dude, I'm trying to make $100,000 a year, bro. I'm just trying to get a $500 pay raise, man. So those were some of the very first occurrences that I had around acknowledging that my entire financial worldview was completely wrong. The way that I thought about risk and debt and failure was completely upside down. And opposite of what's actually happening. So it really kind of shed some light on, obviously, okay, I'm starting to understand more and more why there's a 1%. And, when you think of like the three, classes that we have in the middle or in the United States, for the longest time, Elena, I thought that the reason we had three different classes was because money was the differentiating factor. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, okay, we got the middle class, the majority of people kind of savvy with money, and then you got all these rich people on top that, just came into money, and then you have all these elites and stuff up here, and then you got people who either just can't hold a job or don't want to work, that are down at the bottom. And that was my financial worldview in short, for the country anyway. I guess not, worldview is not either way, that was how I thought about money. But in reality, it's not money that separates all three classes. Mm-hmm. It has nothing to do with money. It's this.
Yeah.
This is the reason that people are able to move up and down that scale. This is the reason why people transition between the different classes. It's this right here. And what's really cool about mindset, Elena, is is once you understand this, once you become the person that's capable of doing X, Y, and Z forever, for the rest of your life, that now becomes your minimum operating level. You figure out how to make $20,000 a month, that now becomes your new standard. The second that happens, you can look back and you can be like, oh, I know exactly what happened that produced this kind of result. I hired this person. This is how I managed them. This was the SOPs that we put into place. This is what the accountability looked like. This is the action that was took. And then it produced this result. And so forever, for the rest of your life or anybody else, whenever you hit like these different milestones, that now becomes your minimum operating standard. And that's what's really, really cool about this whole thing. And so that's how you fluctuate between different classes in the United States, is just from this right here.
Yeah. Once I realized our mindset, our brain, practically it's something very physical, and we can stretch it. It changed, really changed totally my life. And everyone should realize we can really just particularly stretch it to put here something more.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really it's maybe it's first time when you realize it sounds scary.
Yeah.
Yeah, I cannot explain. Really, it's scary. Guys, if you have any questions we so far live to JC, please ask us, because very soon probably we have a couple of 5 minutes left, and we will go through the chat soon. Probably my couple ask questions to Jesse. So Jesse, very practical question. Everyone here probably investor, and everyone is struggling with working with people who has money and who probably considering to start investing in real estate. But there are people, there are humans, they have something in their brain, they difficult to step over to start living with passive income. So what kind of job we can do with those people to help them to take the right decision? Give us advice, please.
Great question. So I just let me make sure I understand your question. Like, so you're asking like, if you have like, I hate to use the word ordinary, but just for lack of a better term here, you just got ordinary people who don't know really anything about real estate or investing, but they've got money setting aside. Like, how do you have that conversation?
Yeah, probably they would like to start investing, but they never tried, and they don't have any information, and they feel scary to start.
Yes, great question. So what I would do is I would start asking questions. As you know, during our cohort, that was a big thing that I continued to hammer down on and reiterate. Not enough people do this. Ask questions. Ask questions. Like you get, if man, I really wish that people would get really intentional with understanding how asking questions impacts everything that they do. So if you have somebody who is in that position that you described, I might start by asking, "Hey, tell me a little bit about what you would like your retirement to see. What are you doing right now for your retirement? How do you see your retirement playing out when you're able to pull from it? What is the quality of life that you expect to get from it? Is that in alignment with the quality of life that you ideally would like to have? Are you doing any other types of investing? Where else are you putting your money? How much do you know about real estate?" And then I might introduce and say something along the lines of, I have some friends, and this kind of comes back to sales. I love sales, but one thing that I got really, really intentional about when I was growing my skills in sales is understanding how to be a storyteller. So when I talk to somebody who's in pre-foreclosure, as an example, I already know that they're going to have objections with subject to and creative financing and what ifs and all these other kind of things. But what if I can tell a story of how I helped somebody else 2 weeks ago that was in a similar situation they're in? And then this is how this person benefited from it. Then all of a sudden it allows them to see that scenario play out in a completely different perspective. Make sense?
Yeah.
So that's what I would do. I'd probably do something similar. Where I can say, "Hey, I don't know how much you know about real estate, but I've actually got a friend who's actually doing some lending for the same reasons that you're wanting to get some more information on it. They're wanting to diversify their investment portfolio, and The rates, obviously you can't beat the rates that people are getting in real estate, not to mention the security. And so I know that these are some of the things that they're doing, and they're getting, 12% on their money. They're getting 15% on their money. They're getting 18% on their money. And so what happens is you'll have people that will either go buy properties, or they'll go do fix and flips, or, whatever it is. And instead of going to a bank, it's much easier to streamline that process by having relationships in place with people like you who want to secure investment to park their money with amazing returns. And then what those individuals end up doing is they get their money back in 6 months or 12 months or whatever it is. And because of that relationship that they have formed, they just throw it into another one of their deals. So I don't know if that's something that you would be interested in, or something you would benefit from, or even want more information. But if it sounds like something, you would love to know more about, please let me know. I'm happy to make an introduction. We can all hop on a Zoom and kind of walk you through what that process would look like, should you be interested. So that way I tie, like I like everything I do, I make it all about them, make it all about the other person. Because I genuinely like just approach every relationship that you have from a standpoint of serving. Get to see things from their perspective. And the only way that you can do that is by asking questions. So when they tell you about what their retirement's looking like versus what it could look like, or what they would ideally like it to look like, approach everything from that perspective. Like, okay, cool. Like, how can I, with what I know, how can I be a resource for them in helping them accomplish that? So that's what I would do. That's where I would start with a conversation and just kind of go from there.
Thank you, Jesse. Actually, this was another, I believe, for most of our cohort people, it's another mindset shift to start talking to people about themselves. Because our humans' nature, we always tend to speak, to talk about ourselves, right? How we do, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, really, to ask questions and to focus on people, on your person who you speak.
Absolutely. There's a really amazing book called How to Win Friends and Influence People. Have you ever read that book?
Carnegie?
Ooh, such a wonderful book. But it talks about exactly that, how people just inherently want to talk about themselves. Humans are selfish in that way. And when you're trying to build a relationship with somebody, not only do you come off wrong, or unintended, but you don't learn anything. If I was going to go jump on a Zoom or connect with somebody and I did all the talking, I already know about me. I already know what I'm doing. Why would I waste any time talking about myself? I'm not learning anything. I'm not gaining an advantage by talking about myself. I already know all there is to know about myself. I want to shut the hell up. And I want to ask questions, and I want to find ways that I can serve them. And not only is that going to be received better from them, but you're going to be able to you're putting yourself in a position to be able to solve problems, and you get paid in direct correlation to the caliber of problems that you can solve.
Yeah. Everything's so connected. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much, guys. I see you here. Andrew, Debbie, Alan, Erin, Paula, Brandon, Jean, Tiffany, Celeste. Thank you so much. If you're still here, just know you are someone to me. You know what I mean. You've been first person in top 2 who gave me hand. I never will forget it, Celeste. Anytime, reach out to me, please. Anything I can do for you. Please ask questions. Can you folks share your goals? Jesse, couple words about your goals, please.
Yeah, one of the things that I'm wanting to do is I want to get more into. We put a mastermind on in Las Vegas, which was really, really cool. And I would love to put a really big mastermind on. We have officially announced it. We're putting our next one on in February in Hawaii, which I'm super excited about. And so we've got that one in Hawaii, and then I'm going to put another mastermind on in Alaska, June of next year, we'll do a Growth Co Mastermind. I am at a point now where I have been blessed to be able to speak on some more stages, and so I'm scheduled to speak on a TEDx stage, which is like the world's biggest stage. I mean, they got like over 40 million subscribers there.
Ooh.
And then I'm also scheduled to speak at a place in Orlando with over 2,000 people there. So I'm pretty excited about that. So those are kind of some more of the goals I want to shoot for, and just continue growing, both my businesses. I think we're also going to pivot from real estate by the end of the year. We're going to get the real estate side of things up and running. And then once that's kind of on autopilot, then we're just going to maintain it and just kind of let the machine run. And then we're going to focus on getting into more business buying in 2025. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Cool. Okay, I can say a couple words about my goals. Of course, to feel more confident myself in buy and hold business, to buy and hold properties here in US. So I would like to start buying businesses in the future. And then I'm Ukrainian, so after war will be done, I would love to start investing in Ukraine. I have a couple ideas, include idea to start producing affordable, good quality food for people, and some more ideas, just briefly. Okay, I see Carlin, I see Sean, Patrick, thank you so much for one. Guys, oh my gosh, I see people's goals. Alan, 50K a month, Patrick, 60K a month, Debbie, 500 by end of 2026. Cool. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, guys, for sharing with us. Okay, dokie. It's more than 1 hour. Thank you so much, Jesse, for your time. I so appreciate it. It's always so cool to see you and such inspiration, and I hope for everyone as well.
Likewise, the pleasure was all mine. Thank you so much for hosting this, Elena. This was a fantastic podcast. You asked some phenomenal questions. Thank you so much for the opportunity to come on and to share a little bit about my story and my experiences, and hopefully it brought some value to your listeners. So I'm very appreciative and grateful again of the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Jesse. Thank you for being with us, and thank you for being our mentor. Yeah.
Thank you. The pleasure's all mine, Elena.
Thank you so much, people, for being with us, for supporting us. Thank you, Sean. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Okay, have a good night, guys. Bye-bye.